Has someone ever challenged you to something that they didn't know you are an expert at? My 16-year-old son, Jake, added me to his Discord server because his mom made him. She was worried about online predators or whatever. I told him I'd just lurk and not embarrass him in front of his friends. For weeks, I barely said anything. Just watch these kids play games and talk about school drama. Jake would occasionally type, "Dad, please don't talk," when I'd send a simple, "Hi everyone." Then this new game dropped called Stronghold Legends Remastered. It was basically an updated version of this old strategy game from the early 2000s. The kids were all hyped about it. One night around 1000 p.m., this kid named Brandon starts going off in the chat. "This game is so easy. These old school players don't know anything about real strategy. My dad tried playing and couldn't even figure out how to build walls properly." Jake types, "Yeah, these older guys just click random stuff and hope it works." Brandon continues, "Bet your dad doesn't even know what a siege engine is. These boomers probably think strategy means buying the biggest army." I'm sitting there, in my office drinking coffee, watching this unfold. What these kids didn't know was that I was ranked 73rd worldwide in the original Stronghold Legends back in 2003. I spent 4 years in college perfecting build orders and rush strategies. I finally type, "Hey Brandon, wanna play a quick match?" I might remember a thing or two. The chat explodes. "Oh no, Dad, please don't." From Jake, "This is going to be embarrassing from some other kid." Brandon types, "Sure, old man. I'll go easy on you." We hop into a 1v1 match. I pick my old favorite, Civilization, and immediately start executing a build order I perfected 20 years ago. Barracks at 2 minutes, armory at 4, first wave of troops at 6. Brandon's still figuring out his interface when my cavalry hits his base. He panics and starts building random defensive towers in the wrong spots. By minute 12, I've destroyed 3 of his resource buildings and half his army. By minute 15, his main castle is burning and he's got 8 units left to my 47. GG, I type, which apparently means good game. The Discord chat is completely silent for like 30 seconds. Then Jake types, "Holy crap, Dad, where did that come from?" I respond, "I was top 100 worldwide in the original game. You kids are playing my childhood." Brandon finally speaks up. "Dude, can you teach me that cavalry rush? That was insane." Suddenly, I'm getting friend requests from all of Jake's gaming buddies. They're asking me to coach them and explain advanced strategies. At first, I thought the hype would fade in a day or two, but it de-dendims by the next weekend. Jake's friends had set up a private channel called #strategy-lab, and I had a full queue of replay reviews, build order requests, and defense analysis. It was hilarious and kind of touching. These kids, who'd just a week ago called me a boomer, now typed things like, "Coach, does cavalry work on undead factions? What's the fastest economy path for fire mages? Can you stream your next match? I just want to watch how you move." Jake didn't say much about it. He acted annoyed, rolled his eyes a lot. But I noticed something change. One evening, he knocked gently on my office door. "Hey, if you're not busy, can you show me that early barracks timing again?" That moment hit me harder than winning any match. I spun the chair around, waved him in. We rebuilt the first 10 minutes of that game together. He asked smart questions, offered his own variations, and even suggested a unit mix I hadn't considered. I grinned. "Looks like you've got the instincts, kid." Over the next few weeks, we weren't just gaming, we were bonding. We talked about his school stress, his dream of becoming a game designer, and even some stuff about his mom and stepdad that he said he hadn't told anyone, not even his friends. This game, this old relic from my college days, had opened a door that I didn't even know was locked. Then something unexpected happened. One of the kids, older cousins, a high-level tournament player, joined the server. His username was GrimlordX, and he was legit. The dude streamed on Twitch, had a paid coaching gig, and was ranked top 200 globally. He challenged me. "Hey Coach Dad, want to run a best of 3? Let's see if the legends are real." I accepted without hesitation. Jake was in the room with me when the match started. I could see it in his eyes: excitement, nerves, pride. We were silent for the first few minutes as I built out my economy, deployed my archers, and prepped a split flank with cavalry. Then, in the second match, I faked a frontal push and backdoored. GrimlordX's supply lines, total annihilation, victory in 14 minutes. The chat exploded. "Oh my god, he just dusted Grimlord. He didn't even use metacomps. That was old school domination. Who is this guy?" Jake looked over at me, stunned. "You're not just good," he whispered. "You're insane." I laughed. "Told you, this game raised me." Later that night, after the adrenaline faded and the chat quieted down, Jake came into my room again. He didn't say anything, just sat beside me, handed me a soda, and said, "Thanks for playing." And in that simple moment, I realized I didn't just win a challenge, I gained a teammate for life. No vacation this year. "Too expensive," my family said. I understood. Then my card was charged for a $12,700 yacht charter. 13 guests, none of them me. I didn't yell, just hit dispute all, froze the travel wallet, and closed the app. At boarding, security stopped them. No payment, no entry. My sister texted, "Fix this now." Adi replied, "Already fixed." But what they found on the table in their house changed everything. I wasn't angry. That surprised me. When my card paid for $12,700, I just stared at the screen. The charge memo said yacht charter, 13 guests. I counted them. My mom, dad, sister, her fiancé, 3 cousins, Uncle Mike, Aunt Renee, 2 of their kids, a family friend named Sasha, and probably someone's +1. 13 names, none of them mine. I scrolled back through our last texts, just a week earlier. My mom had sent a group message. "No vacation this year. Too expensive. Let's be practical." Everyone agreed. I did too. Rising costs. Tough year. Fine. But this, a yacht. I didn't yell. I didn't call. I just opened the travel wallet, hit dispute all, froze the secondary card they'd been using, and closed the app. Then I checked the security access logs on their boarding QR. Everything was still linked to me. Still my infrastructure, still my network. So I flipped the switch. No more coverage, no payment, no entry. I got a text from my sister while they were at the dock, apparently already scanned and rejected by security. "Fix this now," I replied. "Already fixed." Then I went silent. They didn't expect that. They expected the usual, the calm explanation, the reluctant forgiveness, the last-minute bailout. But I was done. Not with rage, not with bitterness. Just done. What they didn't expect, what changed everything, was what I left behind. What I placed on the table in their house before freezing the wallet. A folder, a sealed envelope, one sentence. On the front, "You told me we couldn't afford it." So I paid attention. It wasn't the yacht that broke me. 'Twas the memory of every time they lied and called it love. I sat alone that night and went back through the logs. Every transaction, every booking, every bill. I found a cruise deposit from 3 months ago, $12,200 labeled Family Retreat. I didn't go on that one either. I found restaurant charges in coastal towns I'd never been to. Uber rides I never took. A flower delivery to someone named Tanya. I don't know a Tanya. The deeper I dug, the clearer the pattern became. I was never invited, only attached. Attached to the card, attached to the name, attached to the burden. 3 years ago, I helped them out with a summer rental. They said it was a gift for Grandpa Joe. I paid the deposit, drove the U-Haul, even fixed the air conditioning midweek. I didn't stay. There wasn't a bed for me. 2 years ago, I covered the catering for my sister's engagement dinner. Not the actual wedding, just the dinner before the dinner. Her fiancé toasted the real supporters in the room. He looked right past me. Last year, they forgot to add me to the Airbnb group chat. When I found out, they said it was just a logistics thing. I asked if there was still room. My brother-in-law said, "There's always the pull-out couch." I canceled my flight instead. No one noticed. It wasn't accidental. It wasn't careless. It was systemic. I was a backup they assumed would always be available. A technician, an account, a fallback. They used my tools, my systems, my cards, then laughed like I wasn't even there. That yacht charge. It wasn't a mistake. It was a culmination, a declaration. You don't count, but your money does. And that envelope I left on the table. Inside was a full breakdown. Printed bank statements, highlighted charges, a list of names attached to every trip I paid for but wasn't invited to. The Hawaii tickets they never took because I canceled them. The wedding reception they billed to me without asking. The mortgage. Assistance I froze after they gave my seat to a neighbor on Christmas Eve. The landscaping I pulled when they said the backyard party was for immediate family only. Page after page. Proof, evidence, not to expose them. To remind myself I wasn't insane, because for years they convinced me I was. They said I was dramatic, sensitive, selfish. Every time I asked to be included, they called it needy. Every time I asked to be respected, they called it pride. But now I saw the formula. They only praised me when I gave. They only called me when something broke. They only remembered me when the bill arrived. I was never the son, never the brother. Was the donor. And that realization, it was surgical, clean, cold, cutting through. Years of guilt and silence. I remembered the time my mom cried at the table because I forgot her birthday. I had just wired her $1,000 the day before for a dental bill, but I forgot the card. That was what mattered. I remembered how my dad used to introduce me to his friends. This is my boy, works with computers, knows all the tech stuff. Never. This is my son, just the tech guy. Like I was IT support, not family. I remember the time my sister borrowed my car for a week, returned it on empty, then laughed when I asked about gas money. You make more than all of us combined. She said like that excused it. I remembered when I had surgery, a serious one. I woke up alone. Not a single family member had come. My phone buzzed the next day. Not a get well message, just a Venmo request from my dad. Can you cover the electrician this week? That was the pattern. I give, they forget. I help, they exclude. I show up, they ignore. I stay quiet, they assume I'm okay with it. And every time I swallowed it. Every time I made excuses, told myself they didn't mean it like that. That it was just bad communication, stress, upbringing. But no, it was choice. They chose to forget me, to use me, to ignore the human behind the account number. And that's why the yacht wasn't just a vacation. It was a betrayal written in sun hats and champagne. A luxury getaway funded by a ghost they didn't even bother to invite. I remembered my sister's message, "Fix this now." I almost laughed. They still didn't get it. They thought this was a glitch, an outage, a service issue. But what they didn't know was this. I stopped offering support that was taken for granted and never discussed. The folder I left behind, it wasn't for them. It was my funeral speech. The eulogy for the version of me they buried under obligation. They erased the part of me that stayed quiet to keep peace. The one who swallowed disrespect like it was communion. What's rising now? It's not revenge. It's a boundary. I didn't shout. Hostess started. First step was the travel wallet. I had created it years ago. A central vault that covered flights, hotel holds, car rentals. They never understood how it worked. They just tapped confirm and the reservations were approved. They thought it was magic. It wasn't. It was me. I revoked every authorized user. Froze the account. Not just the yacht charter, but everything downstream. The hotels booked in Key West, the dinner reservation in Miami, the group tour in Nassau. I let the systems expire naturally. Cancellation is polite. Voiding is absolute. Then I logged into the admin panel of my security software. Their smart lock system mine. The surveillance cameras mine. The thermostats, lighting profiles, even the backup Wi-Fi, all installed through my enterprise license. One click, disable device group, primary residence, family. 2 clicks, revoke mobile access. Final step, replace. Admin credentials with a placeholder account marked inactive. No support. I deactivated the systems I had set up. For the first time, the house ran without my silent support. Next, I targeted the backbone. I ran a private hosting platform used by over 40 small businesses, including my parents' accounting firm and my sister's wedding planning side hustle. I had gifted them access years ago. Free tier, unlimited support. The infrastructure was tied to my AWS account with automated renewals routed through my card. I severed the link. I moved their DNS records to a neutral registrar, stripped out the SSL certificates, and issued a deprecation alert to every subdomain. Within 30 minutes, their email system failed. Their websites returned 503 errors. Their form integrations died in silence. I knew it would cause panic. I wanted it to, not to hurt them, to wake them. They had built empires on the foundation of someone they didn't even consider family. And now the foundation was gone. The call started mid-morning. First from my dad, then a flurry of messages from my mom. Why can't we access the office files? The security system isn't working. It says we're locked out. Is this a bug? Then the word I've been waiting for. Fix. Fix this. Fix us. Fix what you broke. Like it was my job to hold up their sky while they danced on my shoulders. I didn't reply. Instead, I went into the company backend and initiated a full access audit. I flagged every IP address they'd used, logged every device registration, pulled a report of password resets, failed Leginen's API requests. The logs didn't lie. Even as they told me to grow up or stop being dramatic, they were still trying to get in, still trying to reactivate the pipeline. Like people trying to force the system back online. They didn't want me. They wanted what I gave them. So I kept pulling threads. The mortgage cosign removed. The storage unit lease terminated. The phone plan ownership transferred. The Netflix, Hulu, Prime, Spotify canceled. All 5 profiles under mine wiped. I replaced them with a single account titled Start Paying Yourselves. It wasn't petty. It was proportionate. They thought I was a background process that I would run forever. But I'm not a script. I'm a human being. And I had finally read the source code of our relationship. It said, "You are only valuable if you're useful." And I decided to be useless. The tipping point came around 3:17 p.m. My sister texted again. Just 2 words. You're being dramatic. I screenshotted it, saved it in a new folder marked documentation, and moved on. By 5 p.m., their business had come to a halt. Emails bouncing, invoices stuck. The accounting software I custom built for them offline. Their client database locked. They hadn't paid a dime for any of it. Never thanked me, never asked how it worked. They just assumed it always would. At 7:42 p.m., my uncle called. He was the last person I expected. He was calm, diplomatic. "I think there's been a misunderstanding," he said. I told him there hadn't. I told him the yacht was the final receipt in a long line of debts they never acknowledged. He asked me what I wanted. I said, "Nothing." He paused. "No negotiation?" "Nope. This wasn't about settling a debt. It was about finally stepping away from a role I no longer chose." He hung up. Then came the fallback attempt. At 9:13 p.m., I got an email from a generic account, technical support. "Family," it read, "please restore access. We can talk this out." "Be reasonable," I replied with one line. "I am being reasonable. I'm just no longer being available." I signed it with the same thing I printed on the envelope they'd ignored. "You told me we couldn't afford a vacation, so I paid attention." The next morning, I woke to 17 missed calls, 2 voicemails, and an email marked urgent. I didn't open any of them. Instead, I made a backup of the family archive drive I'd maintained for years. Old photos, scanned documents, digitized home videos. I zipped it, encrypted it, and uploaded it to a cloud location only I could access. I wasn't going to delete their memories. I just wasn't going to let them pretend they belonged to people who never included me. By Sunday, the ripple effects had become a riptide. The family chat was flooded. Screenshots, complaints, finger-pointing, people asking what's going on and why is everything crashing. My brother-in-law chimed in with, "I think this is about the yacht." As if it was about one thing. As if I hadn't been holding their weight for years. As if this wasn't the result of every lie wrapped in politeness, every exclusion wrapped in efficiency. I didn't say a word because I had already spoken in code, in contracts, in quiet, cold revocation. They didn't realize how much I had been holding together until I stepped away, and what they'd find next. The final reveal sitting on their dining room table would make it undeniable. They didn't apologize. They attacked. It started with a group call when I didn't answer. 10 minutes later, my mom left a voicemail, so Sherlock broke up halfway through. "Something about betrayal, something about what you've done to this family." My dad texted, "This is beyond childish. You're ruining everything." Then my sister messaged me directly, "You've made your point. Now undo it." I didn't reply because I knew the script. Step 1. Dismiss me. Step 2. Demand I fix it. Step 3. Deny they ever did anything wrong. Step 4. Declare war when I don't obey. Right on cue, the lies began. First, it was my uncle texting the extended family. "He's having a breakdown. Pray for him." Then my cousin forwarded me a screenshot, a Facebook post from my mom's account, captioned, "We all go through hard times. Some of us just take it out on family." The comments poured in. It was always so quiet. "Hope he gets the help he needs. Family is forever." No one asked what happened. No one questioned why the accounting firm was offline, why the phones were down, why the yacht trip was blocked, why their smart home was suddenly not so smart. They didn't want truth. They wanted control. So they turned to what they knew best, the false narrative. By Monday, I'd been called dramatic, unstable, mentally unwell, dangerous. Not because I yelled, not because I threatened, but because I refused to serve. My mom called again, this time sobbing. "People are asking questions," she said, voice ragged. "You've embarrassed us, not you've hurt us. Embarrassed because for them, perception is everything. They didn't care that they stole from me, that they booked a luxury trip behind my back using a card I gave them in good faith. They only cared that the yacht company had flagged the payment and that security had escorted them off the dock in front of strangers. That was the real crime. Humiliation, the loss of the mask. They couldn't hide anymore behind the story of our brilliant son, the one who fixed things and sent money and smiled quietly at dinners where he wasn't seated. They had to face the truth, and the truth was this. The fixer was gone. The next wave hit harder. Tuesday morning, a friend in legal compliance messaged me. "Did you know someone filed a complaint under your name?" I didn't. Turns out someone had submitted an anonymous ethics concern to a client of mine alleging I'd misused access to private systems. The email was sloppy. No dates, no evidence, but just enough detail to make someone take a second look. It was a threat masked as concern. I knew who did it. I traced the IP, a location I recognized. My sister's fiancé worked from that same co-working space. I didn't retaliate. I didn't reply. I simply compiled the email, the metadata, and the access logs into a new folder called Retaliation Legal. I sent it to my lawyer, just in case, because this wasn't just tantrum. This was escalation, and it was about to get uglier. That night, my cousin Maya, one of the few who still spoke to me, called in a panic. "They're saying you used pressure or threats to get your way," she whispered, "that you threatened to expose private family information if they didn't include you in the trip." I laughed, not because it was funny, because it was so deeply, stupidly wrong. "I paid for the trip," I said. "They excluded me." Maya knew. She believed me, but her voice cracked when she said, "Some of them don't care anymore. They just want someone to blame." And I was convenient. The invisible son, the bank, the tech guy, the outsider, now turned villain. They needed that story because the real one, the one where I quietly enabled every luxury they flaunted that made them look too small, too dependent, too fake. They couldn't stomach that truth, so they lied. They changed the story to suit them, where I was a ticking time bomb, where the yacht was a mistake, where the vacation wasn't real, where the damage I caused was worse than anything they'd done. And I still said nothing, because silence, that was my weapon. Now, while emotions ran high, I chose to focus on clarity. I kept records instead of arguments. They threatened lawsuits, backed up timestamps, access logs, transaction histories, and screenshots. They called me broken. I forwarded everything to my lawyer. I didn't play their game because their game required me to still care what they thought. I didn't. Not anymore. They weren't grieving the loss of me. They were panicking over the loss of what I gave them. Security, infrastructure, money, silence. And that's when it hit them. They hadn't lost a son. They'd lost the foundation. And for the first time, they couldn't build their story on top of me. I didn't have to expose them. They did it to themselves. The moment they tried to weaponize sympathy to paint me as unstable, they cracked the door open and I walked right through it quietly, surgically, with receipts. It started with a message from one of my clients. "We got a strange email about you." They said, "We're not taking it seriously, but do you want to respond?" They forwarded it. It was an anonymous complaint, claimed I had mishandled privileged data, said I was too emotional to be objective, that I'd taken actions that destabilized family-owned businesses for personal revenge. There were no specifics, no attached documents, just buzzwords and implications. But they sent it to the wrong client. This one knew me, had worked with me through a dozen crisis rollouts, had seen me come under fire, exact with details. They weren't buying the smear, but they warned me if they're doing this here, they're doing it elsewhere. So I checked, and they were right. 3 of my business partners had received similar messages, all worded differently, but clearly from the same source. Sloppy metadata, shared syntax, and one dumb mistake using the same fake name in 2 different emails. Martin Collins. I don't know a Martin Collins. But guess who my sister's fiancé follows on LinkedIn? A Martin C. He used it as a burner alias for financial forums. I gathered everything. The fake complaints, the metadata, the correlation charts. The times they were sent, all lining up with known device activity in my system logs from his IP address. Then I went silent for 24 hours, let the pressure build, and then I struck. At 10:06 a.m., I published a document on a secure link set to public titled Context. It was clean, not angry, not dramatic, just facts. A full ledger of every payment I'd made for my family in the last 5 years. A breakdown of the yacht charter, screenshots of the charges, email threads showing the planning with me left off every message, audio from a voicemail my sister left when they got stopped at the marina. Just fix this. Don't make a scene. Logs of the false ethics reports, IP traces, device histories, and at the very bottom, a quiet note. This isn't revenge. This is documentation. If you're going to tell the story, at least use the right data. I didn't share the link widely. Just a few people, but people talk. By noon, it had spread. By 4:00 p.m., I was getting messages from extended relatives. I had no idea. Your mom said it was a glitch. Thank you for showing this. One of my aunts, the same one who once called me cold, messaged, "I'm sorry. I didn't believe you." That night, my uncle called, the loud one, the one who always defended my sister. He sounded small. I told them to stop, he said. I didn't know about the fake complaints. That wasn't okay. I didn't comfort him, just said, good, because the point wasn't apology. It was equilibrium. For years, they controlled the narrative. They painted me as selfish, cold, ungrateful, the black sheep with too much money and not enough empathy. They never thought I'd respond because I never had. But this time, I didn't argue. I published, and that shift from emotional pleas to objective proof changed the entire power balance. No one could unsee it. Not the catering receipts signed by my sister. Not the yacht manifest with her fiancé listed as the lead guest. Not the messages where they joked about keeping me out to keep the vibe right. It was all there, undeniable. Not to expose, but to protect myself from being rewritten because I knew what was coming next. The final pivot. When blame failed, they tried to rebrand. We're just hurt. We didn't know. We were trying our best. And sure enough, the next day, my mom posted a long message on Facebook. Sometimes families fall apart, not because of hate, but because of misunderstanding. We hope for healing. We believe in love, and we won't give up. The comments rolled in. You're so strong. Family is everything. Sending prayers. She never mentioned the yacht. Never mentioned the stolen funds. Never mentioned the lies, the fake reports, the exclusion, just the performance of pain. And once again, I said nothing because I didn't need to respond. The facts had already spoken, and the people who mattered had already seen. This wasn't my fall from grace. This was their fall from control. And I didn't even have to push, just documented gravity. They showed up on a Sunday. No warning, no call. Just stood on my porch like a broken apology. My mom with red eyes, my dad with crossed arms, my sister holding a coffee she didn't buy. We just want to talk, she said. I didn't move, didn't open the door fully. You didn't lose the vacation, I said. You lost access. My mom stepped forward. We were wrong, but we're still family. No, I said you relied on me like a service, but I'm not one. Silence. My dad muttered. So that's it. I nodded. That's it. My sister's face twisted. This won't fix you. I smiled just barely. I'm not broken anymore. I'm free. Then I closed the door. No tears, no drama, just final. And for the first time, I didn't feel like the one walking away. They did.